Commissioners' report to order. Let the record reflect that a quorum is present. And Madam Clerk, has this meeting been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act?
Yes, sir, it has.
All right. With that being said, thank you, Leslie. It is the practice of this court to offer an invocation followed by a pledge of allegiance, and it's rotated among the commissioners, and Commissioner Hudson has that responsibility this morning. And with that being said, we want to acknowledge our guests and also identify to you that in the event that there's anyone who is uncomfortable with our practice, certainly feel welcome to step out and then rejoin us. With that being said, Commissioner.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you today for another day to be at your service. Pray that you would be with the officials today and as we make our decisions in this court. Pray that you would be with all of our first responders, those in the military, and just pray that you keep your hand upon us through this holiday season. And we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner. Which flag?
American flag. Salute, pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please be seated. All right. I want to take a moment to not only acknowledge our guests, but also acknowledge our judge-elect that'll be coming in. Congratulations, Milton. You will assume this chair in January, so I know you're probably taking a few notes, huh? And you made accommodations to get off from work, and y'all having some special challenges out there, so thank you for your presence. Okay, with that being said, we have a couple of folks who've identified on the public comments section that they would like to participate in our public comments portion of the agenda. And with that being said, let's see, Melda Seavey. Hey, Melda.
Hi, how are you?
You're welcome to stay back there, but if you'd like to come up and stand at the podium, you certainly can do that as well, whatever you're comfortable with.
I'm gonna stay right here then.
Okay,
That way I won't have to shuffle.
all right, hold on just a second. Let's get
Okay.
our timer started. You get a full 5 minutes and you can take as much of it as you like. How about that? Give me just a second. Our official timekeeper is getting her timer set up.
Okay, 5 minutes, Judge?
5 minutes.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, you may begin, Melda. Thank you.
Thank y'all for allowing me to address the court today. I'm Melda Seavey, and I'm here on behalf of the Tyler County Republican Women. I want to thank y'all for the use of the Nutrition Center for our game night last Saturday. It was a roaring success. Tons of laughter. Everybody went away with a gift. And here's the point. We are planning an installation dinner for January 14th. And we have, intend to have a catered event for Tyler County. It's the installation of our new officers. And, we have some commitments from State Representative Trench Ashby to help with our, cost of the food catering. And we're asking consideration from the court today to allow us to use the Nutrition Center again. This is gonna be January 14th, and our dinner is gonna be open to the whole county. We hope for it to be, no cost to any of the attendees. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Melda. Okay, also representing the Tyler County Republican Women is Debbie. Debbie Leininger. Okay, and again, you're welcome to stand there, or if you'd like to come up.
My voice carries.
Okay, thank you. Give us just a second to get our timer restarted, and once Donnie's assists.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready?
All right, Debbie, whenever you're ready.
The fees for the facility at the Tyler County that are large enough for this endeavor is cost prohibitive for our club. We would ask that the contribution of the court be the use of the Nutrition Center and your presence at the dinner. Thanks for your consideration. And also, you're on here to hear about the, progress on the nutrition center for the meals and stuff.
Okay. Commissioner could choose to comment about that if he wishes.
Yes, she's actually not gonna make it today. She asked me to move it to December. She
Okay,
had a family emergency.
okay.
All right, that's going to take care of our public comments, and we're going to go to, actually, we're going to go to Roman numeral 3, which is our consent agenda. We do not have any minutes to take action upon this morning, but that is going to take us to our monthly reports. And gentlemen, you'll see the Adult and Juvenile Probation Department, also Extension Service, Auditor, and Budget, as well as Precinct 1 JP. And then you've been provided your packet for the Treasurer's Report before you. If there's a wish to set aside any of these for discussion, otherwise we can receive them by consent. And Chair will entertain a motion.
I move that we receive the monthly reports.
Okay, there's a motion with second to receive the monthly reports. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, and motion carries. Thank you. That's going to take us to our resolutions and proclamations, as well as our orders. And I have the first item for your consideration, and that's item A. That's the Christmas and New Year's sale of fireworks. As you know, we are required to determine whether that will be permitted. I think we've learned a little bit over the last several months with all the drought and so forth that we've had. We can authorize it, but obviously it's subject. But we're in good shape right now, and it's a standard customary action. And with that being said, I'll just ask for a motion to provide for that authorization. Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hudson. All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried unanimously. That will take us to item B under our resolutions and proclamations. And Commissioner Marshall.
Yes, sir.
We also have some guests here with us as well for that.
It's adopting a resolution authorizing the online auction of tax foreclosed property as provided for in section 34.01 and 34.05 of the Texas Property Tax Code. And I put it in form of a motion.
Second.
There is a motion, Commissioner Stirk. I heard the second. Comments or questions? We want to acknowledge our services. Wade, who's here representing Line Barber, and then Shelba is also representing Line Barber. That's our local. So thank y'all for your presence. Anything further comments wise? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously.
It will make it a lot smoother operating, I think, to be able to sell our foreclosed properties.
You know, it seems like that's where everything's going. I just rotated off of the SEER board, and they were talking about how everything is going to be transitioning to a personal handheld device in the future. So they're kind of gearing up for that direction.
Wayne, just your presence here is all that was needed.
Well, I was going to point out that we went live for the November sale in Kaufman County, and it worked like a champ. It was very smooth. We didn't sell as many properties as I wanted, but the process was much smoother. Whereas typically we would have anywhere from 20 to 30 potential buyers on the courthouse sales, we had 150 registered to bid for that sale. So it clearly broadens the number of people that are watching the sales and not bidding on them.
Good. Thank you, Wade.
Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
How do they pay for it?
So the fee doesn't get added to anything that the county or us. It's a service that we contract with another vendor. The legislature, that's what the reason for the resolution, the legislature has authorized this additional fee, and I think it's like $175 per parcel that the auction company charges as an administrative cost, but it goes directly to the bidder, the buyer, whenever they purchase or when they're a successful bidder, they become responsible for that
So
fee.
is this a wire transfer? Is this I mean, most limits on your debit card aren't just, couple $1,000. So, how does that?
So you can do, there's multiple ways that you can structure it, and it's all county specific. So for example, if in Kaufman County, we allow them only to do online, so they put a deposit in a certain, in the amount of the percentage of the amount they want to be able to bid, their bidding power. we do 10% in Kaufman County, tends to be that's what Montgomery County does, and I think a couple of the others that have gone online are 10%. So if the bidders want to be able to purchase up to $100,000 of property, then they have to put up $10,000 as a deposit, which is refundable, and it's also transferable. So if they're bidding on a property in Tyler County, and they don't want to pull their deposit out, they can either let it ride to the next sale for Tyler County, they can transfer it to Dallas County, or to Kaufman, or to Montgomery, or Atascosa, or any of the other counties that have already gone online. They can transfer that deposit with the click of a button. There's a drop-down menu. You just tell them what jurisdiction you want the deposit to apply to, and they can get it back at any time. The first question you asked was, is it wire transfer? There's two ways that you can do it electronically, either wire transfer or EFT. I forgot what it's called.
Electronic funds transfer?
Yes, well, that, but there's, the ACH, automated clearing. So that's the EFT, that's the funds transfer.
So does the county hold their deposit and we have to refund it?
The county doesn't have to deal with it at all. The auction company holds the deposit in escrow until it's either used or withdrawn or transferred.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and there's numerous ways, and when we get to the logistics of the setup, we'll have a couple of different workshops with the auction company, with the law firm, and with the county representatives in terms of what your preferences are. So Montgomery County, for example, they make people come in to pay, whereas other counties, we allow them to do the wire transfer or the ACH transfer directly and then get a deed in the mail. So it's all about whatever y'all's preferences may be.
Good. I think Donnie has a question for you, Wade.
Wade, we have, on our website, there's a portion for public notices and foreclosures that people go to. And, I don't know, could we put a link to y'all's site maybe?
So for
On that
sure,
foreclosure page?
the sale postings will take place just same way that they always have. The same postings in the paper, the same postings out here. When you go to actually administer the site, the auction company actually creates a site that's unique to Tyler County. And depending on the county, so in some counties, the sheriff wants to make the sheriff's sale. So the sheriff always wants to make sure that that star is there and his picture with his hat and everything is right there on the website. So everybody who goes to that site knows that that's Sheriff Beavers and this is his sale. Other counties, the sheriff or the constable say, I don't want anything to do with that, just, call it the Tyler County tax sales. And, the citizens don't know that it's not the tax office or whatever. It's all, again, client preference, however you guys want to be, however the sheriff wants it to look, or the constable. Sheriff do sales here or constable?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so it would be the sheriff. Really, it's statutory wise, it's the sheriff's sales, the sheriff's decision on how it would go. But, some care, some don't. It just depends on how the sheriff's going to react to it. But the website itself, you can set it up to link. Like typically, we'll show a link from the tax office to the auction site. We have a link from the sheriff's office to the auction site, and back vice versa. They can log on to the auction site. If they want to look up something with the appraisal district or the tax office, they can click on the links and shoot you back over to the county or the county website. So it's very flexible and customizable, just depending on how you guys prefer it to be.
Good questions. Thank you, Wade.
You have
Anything else? Commissioners, you're all okay. All right. That'll take us to our Roman numeral 5 portion of our agenda, consider approving informational section. And Commissioner Marshall has the first couple of items.
I make a motion to approve any budget amendments or line item transfers.
Okay, there's a motion and second for the approval of the line item transfers, which were included in your packet. And comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carried unanimously. And that'll continue with the accounts payable.
I'll make a motion, we pay our county bills.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I want to call something to your attention, gentlemen, and get a little bit of a gathering of some information, if you will. I want to bring you up to date. Back in December of 2019, Commissioners Court approved with motion by Commissioner Marshall to adopt the resolution for the Articles of Incorporation and bylaws appointing directors for local government corporations, Southeast Texas Flood Control District. Then, on the 19th of February 2020, there was a request by legal counsel that is actually putting all of that together to do an amendment and to act upon it as quickly as possible. So on the 24th of February, we approved those amendments to that flood control district. They've been working over time to try to get this set up. It's funded by grants that came in as a result of the flooding that took place on Hurricane Harvey. So when we got the statement the other day, this is an administrative dues portion of our bill. And if you'll just look and see, it's based upon population, and our population assessment was at 0.0585, or rounded up to 6 cents per populace. And we've got a 19,798 populace is what they based upon. So all of these counties, from Newton over to us and then down through,
Talk to the Matrix River, right?
yes.
Such the Matrix, yeah. I remember.
Yeah. And so anyhow, this is our portion of investing with Ken. It just kind of seems like that we could start out by appropriating out of emergency management. So in looking at the various line items, if you'll notice, and it's like we talked about, we're not going to use all of that on this budget year out of purchasing of equipment. So we had $5,180 in there and $1,158 for the dues taken out, but still leave us $4,000 in the event that there's something for the rest of the year. But I wanted to call that to your attention because of the fact that it's emergency management, it's flood related, it's within already what we have as far as collected and in our budget, and we can do that until we find out if we want to do it a little bit differently. That way we won't impact any of the other budgets during the course of the year. So I wanted to call that to your attention and see if that's acceptable to you to include in the paying of our bills as well. Jackie had said, just let's pay for it if we've got it, but because it had been so long, I wanted you to be aware of what we've got on that. So any comments or thoughts on that?
I make a motion, we go ahead and pay part of that.
Okay. So we're integrating it into the paying of the bills out of that particular item. The motion's already on the table for the paying of the bills, so integrating that into that.
That's just this one time.
That's just this one time, and because they just got the corporation completely finalized. And Milton just will get you up to date as far as they meet periodically and discuss, how this configuration. We are the ones that are kind of providing flood water for all the counties south of us. So we're, yeah. All right.
Judge, where did you want that paid out of?
It's going to go out of 076 000 43200, purchase of equipment under emergency operations. All righty. Okay, we have the motion and the second with the amending to include. Is there a second to the amending to include? Thank you, Steve. All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Okay, and on the original motion, all in favor, aye? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, that's going to take care of items A and B and move us to item C. Commissioner Stirk?
Yes, it's the, like a motion, the annual maintenance renewal for Spindle Media Tax Collection Software for the tax office. That's in form of a motion.
Okay, second. Thank you, Mike, for your second. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
And it sounded unanimous. Item D, Commissioner Blacksher also called it to the court's attention, is connected to item O, which you have on here, Commissioner Marshall. So let's tee it up if you can with Commissioner Blacksher, and then whatever additional you want to add to it. That way they're conjoined. Okay, Commissioner?
DPD desktop kit with Datapilot Inc. for Tyler County Sheriff's Office includes 1-year software with all necessary cables and
and carrying case. And I put that in form of motion, and I'd like Donald to go ahead and second.
Okay, we have a motion with second. Donald, you wanna?
This is the software that we use to pull evidence off of phones, whether it's victims or, suspects on search warrants, for phones. We did initially have it. Even the license lapsed and it didn't get paid. So we would like that renewed again, so we can get it again, because we have taken two phones down to Beaumont, 2 weeks ago, we're still waiting on the return, so it just, without software, it tends to add some time in some cases.
And Donald, tied to O, is that just
So there's-
secondary?
Yeah, the secondary backup, so some software doesn't pull all the phones. And then also too, I think the secondary one we can install on an investigator's computer where he can go out in the field and do that. Or we don't have to take phones and keep them at time.
Perfect. Commissioner, if it's okay, we'll go ahead and act upon item D,
Yes,
and then the formality, we'll just go through on item O when we get down to
Yes,
it,
sir.
if that's acceptable. Okay? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carried unanimously. Item E,
Yes, sir. Make a motion, we sell and transfer of the Mack MD 642 8-yard non-CDL dump truck from precinct 2 to the city of Woodville, and they're gonna purchase it for the amount of the payoff lease, and there's the VIN number.
Okay.
That's
I'll
all
second.
motion.
That's a form of a motion. Commissioner Hudson has a second. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. And it was unanimous. Item F, Commissioner Blacksher.
I move that we rent portable restrooms for the Christmas on Square event set for December 2nd and 3rd.
Second. There's a motion with second. Comments or questions?
They're coming out of contingencies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like it to come out of contingency and, we could, seems like it would be, harder to have the building open for the restrooms and everything. You probably have to pay somebody to come up here and do that. So it'd be nice just to have it if we're gonna have, the Christmas Square community-wide event, have it on the square.
Do these restrooms have heaters in them?
No,
Okay.
will not have that. Bring your own heater, right? But, yes, sir, it's just to support, the chamber.
I think we've done that historically to give an alternate, keep from having to open the building and have maintenance staff and whatever.
Yes, and also, we didn't have to bring it to court because, last year you did a agreement with the chamber unless the parties canceled. So for the use of electricity and everything out here. So we're good to go on that.
Good. Any additional comments or questions? All in favor, aye? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G, Commissioner Blacksher also.
Okay. She's not. Yeah, we'll go ahead and table that till December.
Okay. Item H.
South second.
Oh, sorry. Good catch. Okay, second for the motion to table. All in favor, aye? Okay, motion is tabled. Or motion, yeah, is tabled. Item H, Commissioner Marshall.
Yes, sir. We have a request to purchase red and green projector lights to be used to project at the courthouse during the Christmas season. I'll put it in the form of a motion.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I think we have some other things working too on lighting. A little further down the line, it might cover that, so we don't even have to purchase those lights.
Okay.
I think we already have lights, if I'm not mistaken, but we just don't have all the connections we need to plug them in, hook them up.
Okay.
And I have a deal down here.
Okay.
Deal to cover it.
So, second once, second twice. Motion fails for lack of a second. That'll take us to item I, J, K, and L. And, Commissioner, I have the item there for you on the Lakeland Ranch section subdivision and the recommendation. Jed Morris with GLS Engineering is present, and it looks like we need to move forward with including that. And so I'll put it in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Marshall. Okay, I think we're ready for comments regarding this particular,
Yes, sir. On section 5, the recommendation was a conditional approval. and y'all had it in your packet. And Jed, would you like to speak to that? Because before we have come back with the conditions and then approved it, but Jed said all they have to do is meet the conditions and let the court know, and then they can go on. We don't have to come back to court. So, but Jed, could you?
Yes, sir. There's two conditions on the approval of that plat. One was to provide the bonds, which they naturally provide after we say everything is good. Second condition is just get straight with the street name. And that condition has been fulfilled. They provided an email documentation that's taken care of. So if y'all approve the two conditions, one already has been met, and as soon as we confirm, they'll send me the bonds, we'll look over those and say they're good, and then it's ready to go and file without coming back to the court. So, yes, sir.
He did file his bond today, Judge.
Okay, the bond has been filed.
Good deal. So, I do still, we recommend, do recommend we approve it with conditions, and I'll confirm those when those conditions are met.
Good. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, aye? Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item J is the ratification. You may recall, Donnie and I discussed this immediately prior to the election. We needed to go ahead and move forward with executing this agreement, and there was some urgency in time. We said, hey, let's just poll and make everybody aware, then we'll formalize it in the form of a ratification. So that's how it comes before us this morning.
Lucas looked it over and he sent it to David Iglesias to look it over, and David had some language that he added, and it was approved by a couple of people from the Lions Den, so I signed it after that.
Okay, I'll put it in the form of a motion. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mike. Now, any additional comments? Thank you, Donnie. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Blacksher, you've got item K.
Yes, you're going to skip. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I move that we add new private roads to the DP Texas Regional 911 Network map.
There's a motion. Second. Thank you, Commissioner Marshall.
And I handed out a list of those roads, and it's pertaining to section 5. Correct? Get it? Or this section?
That map actually covers all 5 sections.
Okay. And there's just some conflicts of addresses and road names, and so they decided to go with the road names. And it's all been checked out through DP Texas to make sure there's no conflict of names in the county.
All right. The motion has the second, and any additional comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item L, Commissioner?
Move to remove that. We just covered that. I didn't see that you put it on the
Okay.
agenda.
All right. So no action on item L. So that'll take us to item M, and Commissioner Marshall, you've got that item in the next 5.
Yes, sir. Reimbursement to the Tyler County Youth Baseball Association in the amount of $6,000. They had an invoice that was, I think, around 10,000, but on one of the projects they did out there. But I make a motion to approve 6,000 for the youth baseball.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion with second. Commissioner Blacksher had that second. Comments or questions? Which was the last one we did, Mike?
It was, I think it was
Football.
Youth
Football,
football.
okay, yeah.
2,000.
Because I think we've got, what,
I think it was
20,000 in that
20,000
account?
altogether, yes, sir.
Okay, mighty good. All right, comments? All in favor, aye? Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Item N, Commissioner Marshall?
Make a motion to approve the bond, surety bond for Lynette Cruz, tax assessor collector.
All right,
Form of motion.
thank you, Commissioner Sturkey, for the second. Comments or questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item O is tied in, Mike, with what we discussed earlier.
Yes, sir.
Put it in form.
I'll make a motion that we approve item O.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Sturk, for the second. Comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Item P, Commissioner Marshall.
Annual renewal of iWorks software that we use to keep up with our jobs, projects and stuff that we do. So
Okay.
put it in the form of a motion.
Second.
There is a motion. Commissioner Hudson had the second. Comments or questions? All in favor, aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item Q.
Consider bids for Tyler County fiscal year 2020 TDA project, TXCDBG number 7220470, and award the small purchase contract. Put it in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion with a second. And Leslie, is
I've
that?
got Jed here, if y'all would.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he'll tell you what happened.
All right. Jed?
Do you happen to have a copy of my recommendation letter?
Yes.
It's in our packet.
And I have a copy here.
And just to remind y'all that we have two projects ongoing with, the water side, the SUD, excuse me. This one that we're addressing the first on the agenda is a grant we have with the Texas Department of Agriculture. The second one we have on the agenda is going to be the one we have with the General Land Office. So just in case you're a little mystified by that.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I'm here to speak about the one with Texas Department of Agriculture.
We're going to get you to move a little bit in front of the camera. If you want to use the podium or just right up here by the wall, either one.
I'm here to speak about the TDA project. We use a lion's share of the money to purchase the materials which the Tyler County SUD is installing, this water line, FM 256. We did have some left over, which we intended to, because some of the work is beyond their capability, which is the boring, the Wolf Creek particularly. We counted on it being under $50,000. We followed those procurement procedures. We solicited 3 bids. We did it, we received them at the same time, or revealed them at the same time. One contractor did not submit a bid. We got 2 legitimate bids from other contractors. The low bidder was Duplicane Contractors. Their low bid was in the amount of $31,000. The amount of grant funds we have available to accomplish this work is just over $33,000. So that worked out really well. Duplicane had no idea what a budget was. It just worked out well. So we're recommending, we worked with Duplicane before for boring contracts, utility installation. We invited them to submit a bid, so we're definitely confident that they can do the work. So we recommend the award for the small purchase bore contract to Wolf Creek, 2 Duplicane contractors in the amount of $31,000. And if y'all agree with that, the judge would sign the notice of award in the contract today, and we'll get them started. All right, any questions?
Thank you, Jed. Anything for Jed? Are you ready for the question?
Yes, sir.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, sounded unanimous to me. Thank you, Jed. All right, let's take us to item R. Commissioner?
Award boring construction contract for the Tyler County SUD water line project. I think that was what we got.
Well, I think we've got both, yes. So we're ready to move forward with that.
I put it in the form of a motion to award the bid.
Okay, and Commissioner Stirk had the second on that, Donnell.
Okay.
Any comments or questions?
And that was a Duplicane.
Did you get a copy?
All right. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, and it sounded unanimous. Item S, I have that, bringing that to form of a motion, and that's for the emergency notification system interlocal agreement. And I'd request a second so we can move that. Okay, thank you, Mike. I wanted to call this to your attention. You may recall that we acted several months ago on converting from the IRIS alert system to the Genesis. And we were anticipating this, but we needed to act when we did. It's been in place. We've used it a couple of times already, but we need to formally acknowledge it through court. And so Ken, as you know, he's off becoming a grandfather, I think, today. So he asked if we would be sure and act upon this, and that way we can communicate this to DETCOG, even though we've already been utilizing the system.
And it also, DETCOG, all 11 counties can
Yes,
see that.
yes.
To the same notification.
And it's gonna be substantially less than what our annual service fee was with Iris. So it'd be a substantial savings to the
And I've
county.
actually had it work where Iris wasn't working already, so I mean,
I've seen what you did.
Yeah, put a face to it, right? Okay. All right, any additional comments? All in favor, aye? Thank you. That'll take us to item T, and Mr. Hudson.
Yes, sir. This is mainly for informational purposes. It's informational presentation regarding the Joslin Development Group LLC and the clarification of the Chapter 3 minimum standards for roads and streets of subdivision regulations accepted by the Tyler County Commissioners Court. And there's supposed to be somebody here, Tom. And it's just some questions that I think he would like for us to.
Did you have a second?
Judge, Commissioners.
It's not a
for your
motion.
time.
Thank you.
I'm here on behalf of Joslin Development Group. They have tracked in Commissioner Blackshear, Commissioner Hudson's precinct, kind of overlaps the two all over Oakland Road, that basically it's a track they're looking to split up. And in my conversations with the engineer for the county, it appears at the moment they would take the position that the initial question is this: we've got no problem with compliance with all the plating subdivision rules that the county adopted back in July of 2021. My client would like to be able to put down just a normal road, like many of the roads in Tyler County, with the sub-base and comply with section 3.5 of the regs and build a road in accordance with the sub-base with a flexible, what do they call it? Flexible, stabilized subgrade and flexible base, okay? The question that is before the court, and I've been discussing with the engineering firm, is whether my client would then be required to go ahead and put the surface materials on top, where they would have to go in and either put concrete or asphalt paving or some form of hot mix asphalt. Just given that for the most part, this track would otherwise be exempt, given that all the subdivided tracks would be over 10 acres. And we're trying to see if there's a way for us to move forward under the general exemptions that the subdivision rules provide, except for the fact that we've got a road going through there, it's gonna be about a mile long. And given that many of the roads that the county has now aren't paved with asphalt, concrete, we didn't think it would be unburdensome for us to just be able to proceed forward with just doing the sub-base in accordance with the regs. And then later, if we were to ask the court to adopt this as a public road, then comply with whatever further requirements the court would be so inclined to include from my client. And so I'm basically trying to seek some clarification from the court whether or not in this particular instance we would be able to proceed with just doing sub-base on this particular road. And I think all of you have a copy of the letter and the tracks that are involved. And so my discussions with the engineering firm is they take the position that it would require the client to put the surface materials down. Okay, but I think from my discussions and just general conversations with folks in the community, that tracks that are over 10 acres, people generally are expecting those to be exempt from these regulations. And that an unpaved road, unpaved in the sense of not having the surface materials installed, would be acceptable for our county. And so I'm seeking some clarification from the court as to whether it would be required in this instance for us to have the surface materials And if the court deems under the current regulations that they are, if the court would entertain the idea of amending the regulations to allow for tracts that are over 10 acres that are being subdivided with a road in those tracts to be allowed to be unpaved roads as long as they meet the section requirements 3.5 with the stabilized subbase and stabilized subgrade and flexible base. And so that's all a mouthful, but I put that to the court for you guys to give me some feedback on if you could.
Under the current regulations, it does require old base, asphalt, hot mix, concrete, all those things, but,
One of those things, not all.
yeah,
Yeah, not all of
one of
them.
those things.
Will
But,
curbs.
what me and Jed have been talking about is taking an approach to kind of, because you've got Lakeland Ranch here. You have a massive subdivision coming in, you need roads that are asphalt. And if you were to go out there and put rock roads through 641 track, so we got to build these regulations, and I've been in discussions with Jed, a tier system that is, compatible with those 10-acre tracts, because we had a situation in Warren where a gentleman bought all this land, I think it's 150 acres or something like that, and divided it into 11-acre tracts, and thinking he was exempt, but he put a road through there, and the way the regulations read, when you put a road, it then becomes a tier 1. And, which is a whole lot more expensive for a developer. And this guy, he just had, a few lots. So, me and Jed are gonna be working on it, trying to figure out, another tier system for that, because it's not like y'all are going in and putting in a massive subdivision. So,
Yeah, and how many acres, was it you that I talked with on the phone the other day? Yes, and how many acres are we talking about, and how many different lots?
It's 387 acres total, divided into about 20 lots, 20 tracts. So they're fairly sizable tracts, some upwards of 20 acres, some as small as 14. And so this isn't a dense subdivision where you're gonna need the kind of road strength to deal with the traffic that's gonna be there. And some of those actually have direct county road access, so we're really looking at about 16 or 17 of the tracks that, or actually less than that, probably about 14 or 15 of the tracks would actually be using that road. So.
and it's coming off of Rock Road where it's at.
Yeah, and most of it's on the east side of Pope Mill, is that what you said?
That's correct.
The other side, most of those access the county road, correct?
The ones on the southwest side.
Southwest side, okay.
That's correct.
And we are in the process, and me and Jed have been discussing this for a while, because it's not a one size fits all. These are regulations, I think, far more for, Austin area. We're just trying to work out, the kinks right now, so.
Does the court have somewhat of a timeline on working those out? And I'll throw this out, as a longtime member of the community. I'm willing to work with the engineering company and the commissioner's court to fast track this and do the legal work that needs to be done. So, I throw that out there so that we can maybe get something going that will benefit some of these tracts that have been purchased by folks that didn't necessarily understand that they might fall under the subdivision rules, so.
Jed, as soon as we can, you can go ahead.
I would expect minimum of a 3-month period to change the grades, because something like this would involve public comment period, and that alone is a 30-day process. Of course, the court has to get it ready to change, go through the public comment, and then adopt those changes. So you're probably looking at a minimum of 90 days. In light of that timeline, and I appreciate being able to nail something down there, would the commissioners be open to making variances on projects like these until we get the regs amended, knowing where we're headed?
That is actually brought back to court. That wouldn't be the first time that a request for variance had been issued to court, so, yeah. But that would just have to be put on the agenda. Each variance would have to come through court.
It's, at this point, for the agenda, Tom, it's just as an informational versus an action item, so I think that's why seeing a little bit of a hesitancy on the part of the, because
We can't make any
Yeah.
decisions today on any of
Well, you know how slow yours are. We like to try to get as much road as we can.
it. I know which side of the fence you're standing on.
I appreciate your time, commissioners, your honor. Thank y'all so much.
thank you too, sir. Thank you. All right, that's going to take care of the informational portion and take us to item U. Commissioner Hudson also has that, and the workers' compensation insurance.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we renew the workers' compensation insurance through the Texas Association of Counties for 2023.
There is a motion, Commissioner Stirk has a second. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye? Any opposed or abstaining? Motion carried unanimously. Item V, Commissioner Blanchard.
Engineer's recommendation, replat, lot 168, block 1, Lakeland Ranch, section 4, subdivision replat. Make a motion, we approve that.
There's a motion, Commissioner Stirk has a second. Comments? Questions?
Jed, that was approved, correct?
Yes, sir, the only thing on qualification is, because we do have an agreement of all the lot owners in that section, the notification requirements do not apply. So, as soon as y'all approve it, then go file.
Any additional comments or questions? All in favor, aye? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Item W, Commissioner Marshall.
We had a bid from J.P. Shirley for electrical work to run an outside line so we could plug in Christmas lights, without having to string extension cords and all that around. And what I understand, the amount was $2,500. And I'd like to put it in the form of a motion to approve that project.
Do you want to put it up to the 2,500?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. That-
Limited at 2,500.
If you think it's going to cover it.
Yeah, that's what the bid was.
Okay. So motion for the, and got the second? Okay, comments or questions? All in favor, aye? Okay, motion carried unanimously. That'll take care of all of our, Roman numeral 5 section. It'll take us to comments about court members pertaining to matters of county government. Anyone have anything?
The Lamar University engineering students have completed their project, or whatever you want to call it, and they're making, yes, at the airport, the extension of their, and that's their senior project, senior college project, and they're making a presentation to the board and everything at Lamar on Friday, I believe. Mike and I come down there if we can, like a week, or try to make it. So, and I'll, if we get to go, we'll bring back information on that, on how much dirt, how much we can extend, what we have there.
Good.
All right, and also, I'm creating the budget for, if we do accept the contract at the nutrition center for the on-site program. Almost there. So as soon as we get with Holly, we can't accept the contract until we negotiate the details of the contract. So that's where we're at on that right now, and we're pretty close, But that's it. Something like that.
Good deal. Rebecca, anything?
Question. I have a few minutes left of my time, I'm gonna go.
We're now, just as a disclaimer, we're already past our public comment section, but if there's any objection to the court, any,
I
okay,
just have a
please.
question. I live on County Road 3050, and just said, I think that's precinct 3. There's a section of road down there where about a year or so ago, we had a hole. And they just, every time I call, every time I sink, I call and they come and fill it up again. They told me it's because the culvert was broken. What does it take to get them to just replace that culvert? Because it would have been a lot cheaper in the long run to replace the culvert than all the times I've called.
I don't think so.
Every
That
month,
culvert's
I called them because that hole was sinking. Finally,
Yeah, that culvert's about 80 foot long. It's on an angle from that old mill
oh, I
over
thought
there.
it was going across.
No, it's on an angle, a big angle, but we know it's there. It's just on that lower end that it's settled in, and we filled some stuff in on it.
Well, we have about 3 seconds between the rough shaker and my house. And every time those places sink, I'm a squeaky wheel. They come right out. They come out and get it fixed.
We're gonna get it fixed.
Because we get a lot of heavy traffic.
It's gonna be a
We
big
get all those
project, I know.
log trucks and in that place back there behind the cemetery, past the cemetery, they have heavy equipment going through there all the time. They got hit by fence one time.
Yeah, I know they do. Yeah, it's a pretty major project. We'll have to shut the road down for a few days. And there's lots of phone lines, water lines, gas lines, all across that section. We'll get to it one of these days.
Okay.
All right. Motion. Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Was that you?
Yeah.
Joe's got a second, motion second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, we'll stand adjourned.
I have a bunch of things for y'all to sign.